If you can hear us now, notification is no sound, so it won't be a second. Apologise for that. We should be back. Apologies for technical difficulties there. Joys of being live, that sometimes sound disappears, but we should be back. So, as we're just looking at the deck breakdown here, sorry, Dan, you were saying?
Yeah, so as we're seeing, Danger Dark World is the most representative deck, but there isn't that much of a difference between it and the other 3 to 4 most represented. Thunder Dragon, Sky Striker, Altergeist, Burning Abyss, these are all quite popular decks, and then the Dark Warrior deck is another similar deck to the Danger Dark World, so we kind of see about 4 of the main decks being decks that are all about strategies that are very board centric, and then we see the Dark World and the Dark Warrior, which are much more combo based. Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see how this changes as we go through the rounds and watch decks perform better than others. Yeah,
I'm really hoping that we do actually get the Dark Warrior deck on stream, because it's one that I'm really interested in actually personally. But
it's a really interesting deck, and it shows that cards often can just become amazingly good again.
Yes.
Even after years of not having massive relevance in the meta.
Yeah, I really like when we see the cards, like even we just saw just then with Thunder Dragon, these cards that have been around for years and have been played can then suddenly just come back again. But yeah, so that's the current meta breakdown of this event. The other deck is definitely doing really well, so hopefully that carries on. But yeah, we're going to go over to the table now, where we actually have the reigning German national champion, Tayfun, who actually came first at YCS London as well.
He came third at YCS London.
Yeah, third, yeah. And then we have Fabio Pieraccioli, who is playing Altergeist. So we're just going to start that now.
Fabio from Italy is playing Paleozoic. He has won the dice roll. And then Tayfun is playing Altergeist, which is the same deck that he played at London. Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing to note here is both players are playing trap-based decks.
Yes.
Both of those decks do have a high reliance on their monster cards. Altergeist is monster cards with backup from traps.
Yeah. Now,
whereas the Paleo player has trap cards which enable them to have monsters. So, looking at Fabio's hand, Fabio opened Dusters, Paleozoic Olenades, Mind Crush, and Lost Wind, and a Mother Grizzly.
I love the Mother Grizzly deck. He's playing really interesting.
2 Mother Grizzly. So Mother Grizzly, when it's destroyed by battle, will summon a water monster with 1500 or less attack from the deck in attack position. So Tayfun's opening hand, he has 2 Altergeist monsters. So he has Marionetter and Silk Coitless.
Yep.
Silk Coitless he doesn't really want to summon, but he did open...
he has
2 Solemn cards. And he has...
Protocol, was that?
Altergeist Protocol.
Yeah.
And he is just after setting another Protocol off Marionetter.
Yeah.
So Protocol is really important here. It lets him turn off cards like Lost Wind.
Yes.
And then the Solemn cards interact really strongly against the Paleo deck. Because the Paleo player isn't able to respond with their Paleo cards.
Yeah.
And additionally, it's able to negate and destroy Totally Awesome without Toad being able to respond to it.
Now we should see, I expect here the end phase Heavy Storm Dusters as well, which...
Yes.
Oh, of course, and he can go with the Paleozoic first, because then he can summon it as well. Yeah, this could be really critical.
So he has the Paleozoic, he'll summon it, and basically what he can do next turn is he can normal summon the Mother Grizzly. So, also we see Tayfun drew Manifestation. Yes. Manifestation is what he would have wanted to set off his Altergeist.
Yeah.
So we can tell that he only is playing 1 copy. No, it seems that he's playing 2 copies on his list.
Okay.
But he probably has decided that having the second spoofing is more valuable than the Manifestation.
Now we've got the Mother Grizzly there.
Yeah.
Now, so it's been a while since we've seen that monster.
So Mother Grizzly has the ability to crash into Marionetter here, and Mother Grizzly will be destroyed and summoned.
Yep.
The fact is, we know that Tayfun has a Solemn card set, so it's quite likely that we're going to see him negating Mother Grizzly, and after that, so he saw Mourning the summon. I probably would have waited for the Mother Grizzly to attack, but it does prevent the Paleo player from making any sort of link plays.
Yeah.
So Fabio is passing turn. So we see an Altergeist monster being summoned.
Yep.
So Altergeist gains most of its advantage by being able to establish Altergeist Textia.
Yep.
most decks in the format have a lot of difficulty with dealing with Hextia if she resolves.
Yeah.
So that definitely should be something that Tayfun is aiming to achieve.
Yeah.
As it is, it looks like he's just going to beat over DePaleo, and then he'll get to attack directly for 1600.
And this makes a lot of sense. It removes it from the field, and if he does sort of go into it too much, then he doesn't know what Fabio could have there.
Yeah, so we've reached basically a simplified game state, and with the board that we have, we see that Tayfun has Silquoitless, and he also has Marionetter. This is like a really strong soft block, because if he does want to keep them on board, he would be able to bounce his Marionetter and keep Fabio off tempo. We do see that he is link summoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets the...
That is Hextia. So he's summoning Hextia. Silquoitless, when it leaves the field, is going to target Manifestation and set it to
Is
its
it
field.
when it leaves the field, or is it if it leaves the field?
If it's sent from the
Yeah,
field.
okay. That's what I just wanted to make sure, because I know, like, if we look at it from the Paleo side of view, if it had been like Duke Frog, it wouldn't have got its effect.
Yes. No, it doesn't miss timing.
Okay.
As you're mentioning, Duke Frog says when this card leaves the field, you can. Because it's a when you can, it can miss timing, and as such, you won't be able to use its effect when you're link summoning, nor if you tribute it for a tribute summon. Both of which have been relevant at different parts of the game.
Yeah, and could be both come up in this match as well, which I find quite interesting.
So Fabio, even though he opened the Heavy Storm Dusters, which is really impactful in this matchup, we see that his engine just isn't getting live. Denying the Mother Grizzly was particularly important, and this is a really nice play. So Tayfun was able to activate Manifestation, targeting one of his Altergeist in the graveyard.
Okay.
And then he chains Personal Spoofing, shuffling Manifestation back into the deck. So he gets to search off Spoofing, he'll probably get Multi-Faker.
Yep.
And then he gets to summon off Manifestation, and because Manifestation leaves the field before the monster is summoned, the monster is not affected by Manifestation's destruction effect.
So, because it's not aware at the time that it is.
So it's because the destruction effect doesn't activate, so it just immediately applies once Manifestation leaves the field. It doesn't use the chain. So Lost Wind comes down, trying to negate Multi-Faker, but we see that Protocol protects Multi-Faker from the Lost Wind effect.
Now, Protocol primarily is used against cards like Ash Blossom, if I'm rightly that it's the negation.
Protocol is really strong against Ash Blossom and Widow Anchor.
Yeah.
The attack of Multi-Faker will still be halved by Lost Wind, because Lost Wind applies an effect that negates the effects of the card, whereas Personal Spoofing only prevents the activated effects from being negated.
Okay.
So, for example, if there were a skill drain on the field, then Altergeist Marionette or Altergeist Melseek would not be able to attack directly, even if Spoofing were on the field.
Okay.
But when you summon something like Multi-Faker, you would be able to activate its effects, because the activated effects are not negated. Which is an interesting little bit of interaction.
I think that's the really thing with decks like this as well, that the intricate ways they work can actually be quite important, especially when they then face each other as well.
So Tayfun clearly has been playing the deck for quite a while and is very familiar with how it interacts. Okay. At this point, Melseek will let him send a card from the field to the graveyard. We see it goes and match flipped. Hextia is most likely going to negate this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were no Paleozoics in grave though, so that was another big part of it, which was a shame. But I mean, with Hextia chaining, he would be able to summon the...
Well, I mean, if he doesn't chain, then the board simplifies. Yeah.
Yeah. So Fabio's obviously scooped up there. Unfortunately, it's just nothing he could do there. He hit good cards with the Heavy Storm Duster, but it just wasn't enough, I don't think.
So, if he had hit both of the Solemn cards with the Storm Duster, he would have been able to play a bit more.
Yeah.
But again, we saw that Tayfun was able to simplify the board state. So, like, in the final moment there, Fabio had two cards in play. One of them was going to be cleared by the Melseek, and then the other was able to be destroyed by Hextia.
Yep.
So then Fabio would be top decking against a deck which had an established board, and also because the because the Wind Altergeist monster was sent from the field to the graveyard, Tayfun would get a trap card back, be able to set it, and just summon Multi-Faker during the opponent's turn. So he had at least 2 parts of interruption. Yeah. And Fabio would only have 2 cards.
Which is critical for Paleo, and is unfortunate for them, but they need to be able to get the ball rolling for their strategy. They can sometimes take a turn, but then once that's done, they need to get going to keep up, I feel.
So the Paleo deck sets up faster when it does, and a lot of its trap cards are more impactful impactful. But the problem is, Altergeist has kind of, again, looking at the idea of redundancy, Altergeist has more openings, which are okay openings.
Yep.
So it's less likely for Altergeist to end up with a hand that just doesn't do anything, whereas that Paleo hand was super low impact. So both players have sided. Cards that we're likely to see brought in. Tayfun has access to Evenly Matched. He has access to Dino Wrestler Panceratops, which are the ones that I would consider.
Well, he will know he's going second here, I think. That's pretty sad.
I mean, in this matchup, most likely.
Yeah.
But he also has access to Cyframe Gear Gamma, which might be considered. But most likely, I think Panceratops and Evenly Matched would be what I'd be looking at in this matchup.
And what about Fabio?
So, Fabio has... He has Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, but he doesn't have targets for...
Invoked. The Altergeist.
For Altergeist. He has Forbidden Apocrypha, but that doesn't hit the Altergeist deck at all. He has Wabaku.
Yeah. Okay.
So Wabaku is good against decks like Crusadia and such.
Yeah.
But again, you're not going to bring it in. Dark Bribe, on the other hand, he plays 3 copies of that card, and that would be what I would consider bringing in.
Yeah.
So
we have the Swap Frog open.
As expected, Fabio is starting.
Yeah.
7 Swap Frog, and he's going to send Ronin Toad from his deck to the graveyard. Do we have his hand? So that we can see what he's likely to do.
Yes, we do. So he has... There's alone there. Swap Frog, and then he has Gozen Match, Oloides, Lost Wind, and a Dark Bribe.
Yeah, so he's brought in the Dark Bribes. Dark Bribe is really important because it interacts with Evenly Matched.
Yeah.
And it can just be quite impactful by itself.
Yeah.
So Tayfun's hand, he has Desires, he has Meliseek, he has a Strike, and he has Personal Spoofing, which is really impactful hand
and
if he gets to play it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Meliseek makes the most sense.
Meliseek's going to normal summon attack, because Meliseek just lets you simplify the game state.
Yeah. Remove the card and also get 500 damage in, because it does add up. It can become part of it, especially for Altergeist.
Yeah. And then it will attempt to search out a multi-faker by turning into a Link Revo. So it's really important on whether or not he hits the Gozen Match here, because if he doesn't hit it, I would expect to see Gozen Match flipped.
There's a Dark Bribe.
Yeah. I think Dark Bribe is probably one of the things that Fabio cares the least about. So at the end of the battle phase, Fabio is going to flip Gozen Match. So this is going to prevent Meliseek turning into Link Karibo.
Yeah.
Which could be a problem, but we know that Tayfun has access to Personal Spoofing, which means he'll be able to shuffle that back into his deck and summon out a...
Silquoitless.
Well, he can summon out Silquoitless, and then Silquoitless can bounce a Protocol if he has one, or else he can get Multi-Faker, but there isn't really anything to summon off Multi-Faker under Gozen.
I think the important thing here as well is Fabio needs to get the Totally Awesome on the field. I think that's going to be a very big part of this.
It's all about how quickly he can establish it.
Yeah.
And
Tayfun, in its sets, he does have Solemn Strike, which he now uses, so Fabio can get the Ronin Toad in out, but I don't think that's going to be anywhere near enough.
The Solemn Strike seems slightly premature, because if Fabio has a Paleozoic card plus another trap card, he would be able to establish a Totally Awesome here.
At the same time, though, letting Tayfun have... Because with the Strike as well, having 2 frogs in grave on top of the Ronin Toad in could be a bit too much.
But so, if he had let the Swap Frog play go true, Swap Frog would have sent presumably a Dupe Frog or a Swap Frog.
Yeah.
And then that would have been banished for Ronin Toad. The 2 would have overlaid for Totally, and then the summon would have been negated. So the only difference is that the Toad would have been able to add back a frog.
Yeah.
But...
Oloides, that's popping.
That looks like standby phase Oloides targeting a set. Are we going to chain spoofing? We are chaining spoofing, revealing the Altergeist that was in hand.
I think it makes a lot of sense to do that.
I mean, you could grab another Meliseek here, but I feel like grabbing a card like Marionetteur, which that looks like he's adding Marionetteur now, is probably the best out.
Yeah, I think he's got Meliseek already. He's got it on board as well, so...
I think there definitely was consideration for shuffling the Meliseek, but at the same time he can just Meliseek clear the Gozen Match.
Yeah.
Oh, and Wabaku becomes relevant.
Wow. Does he have any interaction now? I don't think he does.
So he's stuck with the Maliseek on board,
And
which means
the
that
attack does
Toad
nothing.
will be able to be established.
Yeah, and the attack can't do anything.
So Maliseek doesn't do any damage, and
Yeah.
Maliseek has to do damage for its send effect.
And Goes Match does nothing to Paleozoic.
Yes, correct.
They can just spam out the traps, the monsters, it has no issue at all. There's the Desires.
Yeah, the only extra deck monsters that the Paleo deck can summon that are not water are Boral Sword, Borreload, and Firewall Dragon, and none of those are cards that he is likely to want to summon.
I just love the Wobbucoop came in. I think that's fantastic. That I mean, we knew he had tied it in, but seeing it actually work as well, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So Tayfun's after resolving Desires, so he has 2 cards, but which seem to be traps. We know that he also has a Marionetter in hand. If he's drawn something like Heavy Storm Dusters, then that could be quite impactful here.
Absolutely.
I think it quite possibly is very important as to what those traps are. I mean, if he has a Solemn card again, it'll have such a large impact. Fabio's considering his options.
Oh, he's going for the attack first.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's going to attack with the Olenades, which is 1200 attack, unaffected by monster effects.
And there
Maliseek
it
goes
goes.
to Grave.
And
So
what's his
Tayfun will take damage, but he will, of course, get to search.
Yep.
So he's probably going to search the Multifaker here.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's adding Multifaker to hand. Again, at the moment what he's trying to do is clear the Goes and Match so he can start establishing guys. If he has Heavy Storm Dusters here, it's super impactful because he will be able to Dusters to clear the 2 traps on Fabio's side.
Yes.
And then establish Multifaker plus Silk Weightless to force Totally to have to negate.
I think it's a fair assumption that because Fabio has at least 1 card in hand.
There's
There it
the
is.
Storm Dusters.
There it
Okay.
is.
Yeah,
Before
so-
Totally Awesome hits the field.
He forces Fabio to commit to the play.
Yep.
Fabio says, yep, that's okay.
That's the Lost Wind in the Grave as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So the Lost Wind could be relevant, but I think it's unlikely that it will have much impact here.
Now the thing will be is the Multifaker is obviously going to there it is the quarters. Now
He has to let him summon the Totally first,
Yes.
because Fabio has not normal summoned yet this turn.
absolutely.
If he bounces to Ronin Totem, then
Yeah.
he is in a
And
really
if he
tough
can legally target the Olnodis, but it just will resolve without effect because
Yes.
it's unaffected by monster effects.
Yeah.
So this-
That would be the worst play to make here.
No, I mean that would be, and I mean Tayfun's a very experienced player and he knows the deck very well. So I can't see that happening, but we've seen strange things happen on stream.
It's still very important to take note of what could go wrong on the board
Absolutely.
stage.
And there comes the Totally Awesome.
Yeah. Shock horror.
No,
Totally awesome.
We were not
Nobody
expecting
expected
that
this.
summon.
So he's saying, Toad, set 1, go ahead. Tayfun is going to activate his effects here. So Totally will be forced to negate.
And he will get the swap frog back as well. Oh, no, it's been banished, isn't it?
Yeah, so he has no frogs in grave.
You can add back the Ronin or itself to extra deck, but
And now we see personal spoofing coming up. So Totally has tributed itself as cost and doesn't even get to negate.
and then he gets the Ronin back to hand.
So we do see the Paleozoic after going back to grave. So Fabio does have the resources to summon another Totally. But again, if Tayfun is just summoning Altergeist monsters, he now has tempo on board because he can constantly return a card that Fabio plays. In fact, right now, he can use Silk Weightless to bounce the Lost Wind. And so it will be banished when it's removed from the field because of its effect.
So if you're Fabio, what do you hope to see from your deck to come back from this? This is where we are kind of cheating, so we have the deck list here, and we're just trying to work out what he can... And no, he can't find it. He has scooped, and unfortunately Fabio has lost there, but Tayfun is our winner. Very interesting match on how the 2 decks with similar designs and interactions can actually counter each other quite well.
Yeah, so it was really unfortunate because, again, we didn't get to see Fabio setting up his Totally Awesome turn 1,
Yep.
which would have made a very big difference. Again, I think Altergeist is generally favoured in this matchup
Yep.
because Altergeist prevents Totally from negating their cards, as we saw with Personal Spoofing.
Yep.
Again, both of these decks are trying to deal with the same things in the format. The frogs aren't terribly affected by decks such as Thunder Dragons.
Yes.
And Altergeist's place in the format is the Hunter of Thunder Dragons.
Yeah.
When you're able to keep your opponent off tempo, where they just can't establish anything because every turn you're bouncing their card back.
Yeah.
Even if you're just normal summoning a guy just to bounce back and just chipping in for little bits of damage with something like a Meloseek,
Yeah.
decks like Thunder Dragons, and as we saw here with Frogs, where they kind of rely on a single card,
Yeah.
find it really difficult to play the game when you do that.
Funnily enough,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a shame, but that's where the different strategies can interact, and if you know your deck the right way, and you know how your opponent's deck works even more critically,
Yes.
you can really capture them at the right times.
Yeah.
But no, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the round 4, that was, yeah, I think. We'll be back in a moment with an interview with our winner,
Yes.
and then we'll be moving on to round 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we're halfway through.
We are halfway there. We are enjoying ourselves. It's been a very good event so far. Hope you've enjoyed it as well, and we'll see you soon.
And welcome back, guys. I'm joined by Tayfun, who just won his round 4 feature match. So, first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're playing Altergeist at the moment, and you have been since YCS London.
Already at YCS Utrecht.
At Utrecht as well. So, I mean, you've been finding the deck to be quite good so far, right? What makes you choose Altergeist in the current form?
I don't want to play any of those decks that don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, it seems strange, but I don't want to play FTKs or Gookie that just combos for 15 minutes and pass turn.
So it's the interactivity of the deck.
Like, it should be either Sky Striker, Altergeist, or maybe even Thunder Drain.
Sure.
But I don't want to play those kind of decks.
And so you have a lot of cards here. I won't name them in case they come up in your matches later in the day, but you seem to have a lot of techs for dealing with decks like Sky Striker and dealing with other decks in the format.
Yes, so for this event I built my main deck to be good against everything but not exceptional. Like, I did the cards that are really good against certain matchups that are in my side deck, because at a regional you can't really afford to lose a single round because there's no top cut.
Yeah.
And when the prize pool is as good as it is today, with like a case for the first one and a Nintendo Switch, you really want to win every single round.
Yeah. And so you've gone for this list, which seems to kind of have coverage for a bit of everything in the main deck, and then you can be more specialized in games 2 and 3. Yeah, that seems quite reasonable. Is there anything that you would kind of recommend to people who are considering picking up Altergeist?
Yeah, I think Altergeist should be really safe from the ban list, and it's a rather affordable deck. It's really fun to play because the game is not over after one turn. You play for 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah.
You get to interact with your opponent, and yeah, just flipping trap cards is fun.
I mean, often you just set up Altergeist text here, right? And that's just
that's like
the game.
After turn 2 or 3. As soon as Textia hits the field, the game is over.
Yeah.
But it's like Paleozoic back in the day with Toad. When you summon Toad, the game is over.
Yeah. Although, as we saw there, when the Toad is hit by Strike, it's not so good. Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Best of luck in your next rounds. And we will see you guys in round 5.